What's up guys, TheJordude here, back again with another Shadowverse video. And I'm going to be bringing you guys the latest news from Shadowverse. And they just announced the October nerfs that is going to happen on October 30th. And it's this is kind of a small surprise because it seemed like they weren't going to nerf any cards because there weren't any announcements up to now. So we didn't think there were going to be any nerfs, but just like the last few months, they've decided to nerf the most powerful cards in the current meta. So they're not nerfing as many cards, they're only nerfing 3 instead of 5. So 5 or more, which we've typically been seeing every month, but I do really like these changes, so we'll go over them and then I'll kind of give like my personal opinion on them. So the first card that they're going to be changing is Prime Dragon Keeper. Surprise, surprise. They're making it from a 3 cost to 4 cost to player, and then they're changing her health from 5 to 3. So this is quite a significant change. First of all, the playpoint cost makes it so that you can't really, like later on in the game, you play Keeper and then you play like a bunch of small dudes and clear the board usually. However, with that slightly increased cost, you might not be able to play as many followers the same turn as before. Also, what else is significant, the health changing from 5 to 3 is actually so big because there are so many effects that kill 3 health things but don't kill 5. Things like Master Mage Levi, Crimson Sorceries, Halo Golems. There's a lot of rune stuff, but also Hector. Also just smaller stuff like Sylvan Justice plus maybe like a May or Cassiopeia is more likely to kill it. So there's like so many more. The reduction in health is so much more relevant. Also in Breath of the Salamander. So before with the 5 health, a lot of people would play Keeper, and then a lot of times they would actually just pre-evolve her so that she's even harder to deal with. So because you can't interact with her by attacking her when you're in overflow, because she can't be attacked in overflow, I really like the reduction in health. I'm not too sure if they needed to change both the cost and the health. I think they could have just done one, preferably the health, because you can't attack her, making her like hard to interact with, making her weaker stats wise, I think is better than the play point cost. But they decided to do both, so I guess that's fine because I have 6 copies of her, so I get some really good value on my vials. I do think she's significantly worse now, so I don't think she'll see much play after the changes, and you could probably get the full values of her and feel good about it, trade her in for another legendary that you want to play. Or if she does prove to be still good after the changes, then you could always just recreate her because you get the full vials back. So I do think the changes are fine, and it's good enough to vial her and start crafting some other legendaries. The next card that they decided to change was Angelic Slacker, and I really like this change because she was so powerful in aggressive decks, specifically aggro sword. Like for aggro sword, you play something on 1, you buff it up on your turn 2, then turn 3 you have a storm, and then you play Slacker, and then you just like go all face, and then especially because sword has so much storm anyways, like Angelic Slacker ends up totaling so much damage over the game when you play her on 4 that she was so powerful. So I really like that they changed her up to 5 because she slows her down significantly. On turn 5 you want to be doing better stuff, like you're playing Albert Evolve or Roundtable Assembly rather than Slacker, and you can't play Slacker into Roundtable Assembly anymore like on turn 4 or turn 5, so I think that's really good. You couldn't really touch her stats or her effect because her stats are already weak, and then her effect is pretty much the core of what Angelic Slacker is. So the only thing to change was the cost, and I think that was the best thing to change, and I really liked that change to Slacker. I don't think she'll see much play anymore just because turn 5 just play a 1-3. Sometimes you get some bonus damage on that turn. It's still pretty slow and inefficient for an aggro deck, so I don't think she'll see much play. You don't get much value liquefying full value bronze, but if you really need the vials, I guess you could vial her, or if you have tons of copies of her, then I guess that's good too. The last card they will be changing is Count of the Carnage, so they're changing the cost from 5 to 6. I think the cost was the easiest way to balance Council of the Card Knights. Like, you could have made the dudes maybe like a bit weaker, maybe like a 1-2 or something. But I think gain a bunch of 1-2s, but you still play Council on 5. I think that would still be like a good card. So I changed it to 6, slows it down quite a bit. I do like this change. They could have either touched Council of Card Knights or Roundtable Assembly, but I think Roundtable Assembly is a bit trickier, because if you change it to 6 cost, you could do that, or you could change it so you can't get the same follower, but then that would make like mid-range sword a bit more consistent. So Roundtable Assembly is a bit trickier. So, and I think Council of the Card Knights just generally stronger anyways. So I like to change it from 5 to 6, and like 6 you want to play all Weedas instead of Council, but Council I still think is a decent card. I don't think it'll be as good as before, obviously, but I'm not too sure if it's worth violating for the full 800, but you might as well, because if people still play Council of Card Knights after, you could just vial it back, right, because you get the full value anyways. So after these changes, Aggro Sword should be a bit weaker, quite a bit weaker actually. I definitely won't be a tier 1 deck anymore, I believe. And then PDK Dragon I think should fall off as well. And because of that, I think decks like D-Shift could make a bit better on ladder. It was kind of hard to play D-Shift on ladder because of aggro swords all the time. And it was like 50-50 against PDK sometimes, depending on what kind of PDK they were playing. Other slower decks could come out to like... Oh, mid-range decks get to be a lot better now, like mid-range sword, mid-range shadow. They couldn't see play on ladder because PDK just runs over them. So those two mid-range decks could be good again. Tomi Shadow, because they don't have to deal with aggro sword wrecking them all the time on ladder. OTK Roach, because they don't have to deal with... the matchups were like kind of near 50-50 I would say, but OTK Roach should be a bit better if the meta slows down. Ramp Dragon could definitely make a comeback, like the Saha Quill, Ramp Dragon. And yeah, so if you guys have any opinions about these card changes or your predictions on the meta after these balance changes, make sure you comment down below. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and follow me on my social media links down below in the description. As always guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. I saw